If you're looking for something a little bit lighter, you should check out the latest videos from our other channel, Paranormally Listed. Deep in meditation, group members supposedly received telepathic messages from aliens. The messages warn of upcoming natural disasters. It sounds wild, but the thing is, the group has been right before. One member named Mark Kunamusta is a financial planner in Bangkok. On March 10, 2011, he uploaded a video saying Asia would get an earthquake and a tsunami. The next day, a magnitude 9 earthquake shook Japan. It's the biggest earthquake the country's had in recent history. Not only that, but the earthquake also caused a tsunami. Sadly, more than 15,000 people died. More than 450,000 people lost their homes. The tsunami also caused nuclear reactors to melt down, and radioactive material made the environment toxic. People wondered how Mark could have possibly predicted that. He said he received the message telepathically from aliens. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now. Number 3. Gwendolyn Jenrette. Liberty City is a neighborhood in northwest Miami, Florida. According to the Washington Post, it has a high crime rate. 54-year-old Gwendolyn Jenrette lived in a duplex in the neighborhood that backed onto the train tracks. Her house had been broken into several times, so she installed a security system. On March 10, 2016, Jenrette wasn't home. She got an alert that someone had broken into her home. It's unclear if she called the police or if the security system alerted the police. What is known is the police were notified of the break-in. Nevertheless, Jenrette raced home. Again, what happened next is unclear. Some reports say that when Jenrette got home, she looked around the exterior of her duplex. Other reports say that she went inside and went through each room. What is known is that she found 17-year-old Trayvon Johnson climbing out the window at the back of the duplex. Johnson lived in the neighborhood and attended D.A. Dorsey Technical College. He had been arrested earlier that year, but the charges were not made public because he was a juvenile. There was a confrontation between the homeowner and the intruder. Then Jenrette shot Johnson in the chest. The police were close enough that they heard the gunshot. When they arrived, they found Johnson bleeding to death in the backyard. He was rushed to the hospital, but died shortly after arriving. Gwendolyn Jenrette cooperated with the investigation. She was not charged with any crimes because of Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law. Johnson's family was upset and wanted Jenrette to be charged. They pointed out that when he was shot, he was already leaving the home, and Jenrette knew that the police had been alerted. Had Jenrette not gone home and looked around, she would not have encountered Johnson. Also, Johnson was unarmed. Johnson's family also said the police told her not to enter the duplex, but the police never confirmed if this was true. One of the most controversial statements came from Johnson's cousin, Nikita Harris. She said, "You have to look at it from every child's point of view that was raised in the hood. You have to understand, how are you going to get his money to have his clothes to go to school? You have to look at it from his point of view." Other people argue that Jenrette had the right to defend her home. Also, according to Florida's Stand Your Ground law, she did not break any laws. The police and the district attorney ultimately decided not to press charges against Gwendolyn Jenrette. Number 2. The Elkhart Four. In early October 2012, 16-year-old Jose Quiroz of Elkhart, Indiana, wanted to buy some marijuana. To pay for it, he decided to break into some houses and steal money. He asked his friends, 16-year-old Blake Lehman and 17-year-old Levi Sparks, to help him. They agreed and invited two other friends, 21-year-old Denzel Johnson and 18-year-old Anthony Sharp. On the afternoon of October 3, 2012, they tried to break into a home, but they were scared off by a dog. They went to another home and didn't think anyone was there. They kicked in two doors to the back of the house, and four of the young men entered the house. Levi Sparks stood outside the house and acted as a lookout. The young men were wrong. 54-year-old Rodney Scott was home and napping. He heard the young men break in. He grabbed his gun and his cell phone. He encountered the young man and started firing his gun. 16-year-old Blake Lehman was shot in the leg. 21-year-old Denzel Johnson was shot in the chest. Jose Carras realized Johnson was hurt badly and he held him. After the shooting, Scott called 911. When Jose Carras, Levi Sparks, and Anthony Sharp heard the sirens, they ran away. Sharp got away, but Carras and Sparks were arrested within blocks of Scott's home. 21-year-old Denzel Johnson was pronounced dead at the scene. Lehman was taken to the hospital and survived. Sharp was arrested 9 days later. Rodney Scott, who did the shooting, was not charged with any crimes. However, the 4 young men who broke into his house were charged with felony first-degree murder. According to the Indianapolis Star, under Indiana's felony murder statute, a person can be charged with murder if someone is killed while he or she is committing or attempting to commit another crime. That crime can be arson, burglary, robbery, carjacking, human trafficking, sexual trafficking, or sex and drug crimes, acts that the law considers inherently dangerous. Felony murder carries the same penalty as murder, but unlike a murder charge, in which intent to kill must be proven, a person can be convicted of felony murder even if the death is accidental or unintended. Since the young men were committing a robbery that resulted in Johnson's death, they were charged with murder. A month after the shooting, Jose Carras was offered a plea deal. If he pleaded guilty and testified against his friends, he would receive a sentence of 55 years of prison with 10 years suspended. He agreed to the deal. Lehman, Sparks, and Sharp were tried together in August 2013. Although Carras agreed to testify against his friends, he was a very cooperative witness. On the stand, he pleaded the fifth to many questions. The trial lasted 4 days. Then the jury deliberated for 5 hours. The 3 young men were found guilty of first-degree murder. Lehman and Sharp were both sentenced to 55 years of prison. Sparks, who didn't go into the house and had been the lookout, was sentenced to 50 years. A month after their sentencing, the 3 young men who went to trial appealed their convictions. Carras could not appeal because he had pleaded guilty. Carras later said he only took the deal because he had an aggressive public attorney who pressured him into taking the deal. Months later, in January 2014, the Dr. Phil Show profiled the case and brought it to international attention. In September 2014, over a year after the trial, the Court of Appeals upheld their convictions. But 10 years was knocked off Lehman and Sharp's sentences, and 5 years was taken off Sparks' sentence. Their lawyers then appealed to the Indiana Supreme Court. The appeal said that they shouldn't be convicted of first-degree murder because they had no intention to kill anyone and did not foresee anyone dying. The 5 judges agreed with the argument and overturned their convictions. It was decided that they would not be retried for murder. In January 2016, the men were sentenced for their burglary charges. Sharp and Lehman were sentenced to 10 years and Sparks was sentenced to 9 years. A month later, Jose Carras' murder conviction was dropped, and he was also sentenced to 10 years for burglary. Due to time served and credit for good behavior, the young men, known as the Elkhart Four, started to be released in 2016. Levi Sparks was paroled in January 2016. He had served about 3.5 years in prison. Blake Lehman was paroled 2 months later in March 2016. Jose Carras was released in April 2017 after serving 4.5 years. It's believed that Anthony Sharp was released in May 2018. If he was released then, he had served 5.5 years. Rodney Scott, who shot Denzel Johnson, testified in court at the resentencing hearing that he thinks the young man should be convicted of murder. He points out that he would never have shot Johnson if they hadn't broken into his home. He also said the shooting was devastating for him. He said you could not heal from something like this, ever. It turns your life upside down. From the moment you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, you think about it. You don't feel secure, no matter where you go. After the shooting, Scott moved out of his house. Number 1. Joe Horn. In the autumn of 2007, 61-year-old Joe Horn, a retired computer technician, was living a quiet life in an affluent neighborhood in Pasadena, Texas. On November 14, 2007, he was at home and he saw two men breaking into his neighbor's house. He called 911 and reported the robbery. Horn was upset and wanted to stop the robbers. 2 months earlier, Texas passed a controversial castle doctrine law that someone could legally use deadly force to defend themselves, their family, and their property from an intruder or an assailant. During the nearly 8.5-minute call, the dispatcher told Horn 14 times not to go outside. We're about to play an edited segment of the 911 call. If you want to hear the complete call, we have a link in the description box.
I've got a shotgun. Do you want me to stop them?
Nope, don't do that. Ain't no property worth shooting somebody over, okay?
But hurry up, man. Catch these guys, will you? Because I ain't going to let them go. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to let them go. I'm not going to let them get away with this shit.
Okay, hold on. And I don't want you to have that gun in your hand when those officers are poking around over there, okay?
I understand that, okay? But I have a right to protect myself too, sir, and
yes,
you understand that.
Yes,
and the laws have been changed in this country since September the 1st, and you know it and I know it. I have a right to protect myself.
I'm right there.
And a shotgun is a legal weapon. It's not an illegal weapon.
No, it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm
all right.
Not wanting you to, make
okay, he's coming out the window right now. I got to go, buddy. I'm sorry, but he's coming out the window.
Don't go out the door. Mr. Horn? Mr. Horn?
God damn it, they just stole something. I'm going out the window.
Don't
I'm sorry. I ain't going to let them get away with this shit. They stole
go
something. They got a bag of
the
something.
house.
I'm
Okay.
doing it.
Mr. Horn, do not
I'm
go
sorry.
outside the house.
This ain't right, buddy.
You're going to get yourself shot if you go outside that house with a gun.
You want to make a
what
bet?
You think. Okay, stay in the house.
They're getting away.
That's all right. Property's not worth killing someone over. Okay?
God damn it.
Don't go out the house. Don't be shooting nobody. I know you're pissed and you're frustrated, but don't do it.
They got a bag of loot.
Okay. How big is the bag? They're carrying a
Just
bag of stuff. They're walking out about a hand high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which way are they going?
I can't. I'm going outside. I'll find out.
No, I don't want you going outside, Mr. Horn.
Well, here it goes, buddy. You hear the shotgun clicking, and I'm going.
Don't go outside. I'm going to get on your radio, Jeff.
No, you're dead.
Pasadena.
Get the law over here quick, man. Get one of them's in the front yard over there. He's down. The other one's run down the street. I had no choice. They came in the front yard with me, man. I had no choice.
Horn had shot 30-year-old Diego Ortiz and 38-year-old Miguel de Jesus. The shooting was highly controversial. Specifically, as we previously mentioned, Horn was told 14 times not to go outside. Horn repeatedly said that he was going to kill them. He then went outside and shot the men. However, he claimed he did it because they came onto his property. Both men were shot in the back, suggesting they were running away and Horn was not in danger. The men did have a tire iron on them, which they used to break open a window. There was no evidence that they had brandished it like a weapon at Horn. Also, castle doctrine states that deadly force can be used to protect a person's own property. Horn's home wasn't being broken into, it was his neighbor's, so his castle didn't need to be protected. Republican Senator Jeff Wentworth, author of the law, said it should not apply in Horn's case. Also, Horn didn't know that neighbor that well. Another major controversy was that Horn was white and De Jesus and Ortiz were dark-skinned Colombian men. Both were undocumented immigrants. They had criminal records, and one had been deported a decade earlier, but came back to the country. Some people believe that the shooting was racially motivated. In June 2008, Joe Horn's case was brought before the grand jury. They chose not to indict him. Some people thought that Horn did the right thing and even hailed him as a hero. He spoke to a cheering crowd at a Tea Party convention. He started off his speech by saying, "I'm a Texan. I love it. I can't help it. I thought what I thought was the right thing to do, and I did it. It's unfortunate that it turned out the way it did, but that's just the way that it is." Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now, and there's a link in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.